Hello again, folks, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this battery-operated train set, which I sort of have a history with this set because I had one similar to it in the early 2000s, and when I was looking online, surprisingly, I managed to come across this one for what I felt was a reasonable price, so I decided to snatch it up and take a look at it. Now, I will be honest, this has actually been sitting under the workbench since December of 2022, so yeah, it's been here a while. But now's the time that I'm going to go ahead and get it out, take a look at it, and possibly even do some comparisons of this up next to some actual model trains. But before I get into that, real quick, I also want to give a big shout out and thank you to friend and fellow YouTuber NZR Doing. He gifted me a new mic that I'm using in this video, so those of you watching can let me know how the audio quality is. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the set and take a look at it. So real quick, I want to take a look at the box, and I'm not going to be able to point out everything just because there's so much information on this, but you can see how the set is presented. It's made by New Ray. It says there's 41 pieces. It says about everything you need to create your playtown is included in this set. Going on to the bottom of the box, it says that the set comes with a battery-operated locomotive with 3 detachable wagons, platform, 4 figures, 2 straight tracks, 12 curved tracks, and 18 piece connectors. There's some information for on-off of the locomotive and how to couple the wagons. There's also information over here about what size of layout the track can make and also how to join the track together. I noticed this says 1/72, and I'm guessing that's scale, which that's going to be a little bigger than 00, I believe, but just for the sake of arguing, I'm going to say it's 00. I noticed the box artwork has a blue train on it, which I don't know if that's another variant of this set that was available or if it might have just been a prototype for advertising. There's some other information on the side of the box here. If you want to read any of that, pause the video. But going on to the back of the box, you can see we got now sort of a little display, I guess, of the set here. There's that blue variant again. And then down in the corner here, I noticed we got a date of 1996. And as you can see here, manufactured by New Ray Toys. Made in China. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get the set out of the box now. Okay, here is everything out of the box. As you can see, we've got the curved track here, plus the 2 straights, one which I believe doubles as an on-off track. There's also this tool for getting into the battery compartment of the locomotive. 4 figures, this station platform, I guess, the pieces which connect the track. You've also got these 3 wagons, and then also the locomotive itself. And I am going to take a close look at some of this stuff before I start putting the set together. I figured it makes sense to start with the locomotive first, and one thing I'll say with this is it's a bit different than the one I remember having because the plastic is a darker shade of red, and also the wheels on this are slightly different as well, and the quality is, well, somewhat lacking in areas. The on-off switch, for example, has a sharp edge to it. Excess flashing has not been removed on certain pieces, especially the back coupler here. You can see that that's not been finished off right, and I'm actually going to have to go in and drill that out to coupling wagons to it. And this also has square head screws for some reason. The one I remember having had Phillips head screws. There's also a little thing here for the on-off on the track there. And I'm not exactly sure what locomotive this is meant to be. If anyone knows, you can leave it down in the comments. But I am going to go ahead and open up the battery compartment. Because of the strained screws, New Ray does supply a tool for you to remove these. So I'll go ahead and get these out. And I probably, if I have any in future, I will replace these with Phillips head screws so I don't have to mess around with this tool. And I mean, it's just more trouble than it's worth, really. But something I want to mention is I have actually been into this locomotive because obviously this set has been used, and the person that had it before me, they left some batteries in it. But this locomotive requires one AAA battery. Go ahead and install it here. And you can see that does work. Of course, as you saw, the set came with 3 wagons, and the first one, which was included, was this crane. Definitely remember having this one. Sadly, I tore mine down uh, to put it on a better chassis, which wasn't really much of an improvement. I noticed this has a bent axle. I don't know if that was done from factory or maybe the previous owner did that. I think I can straighten it though, so it's not too big of a deal. But then also there was this stock car or cattle car, whatever you want to call it, has an opening door, which nice little play feature there. Something to note with these wagons is, they're all plastic. Other than the screws and the axles, there's like no metal to these. But then also, a bit of a mystery to me, there was this, I don't know what kind of wagon this is, but it says Fastmate Delivery. And the one from my set, I remember it was the exact same as this, but it said Bear Honey on it. So not exactly sure what the deal is with this. And of course, all these wagons are dated 96. Here is the station platform. Definitely remember this in the set I had before. You can see we've got a clock, a sign, some benches, and there's also these random holes in the platform, which I have no idea what would have went here. The one I had these as well and didn't have any accessories. Uh, I'm thinking maybe just what I'm seeing on the bottom here, this platform might have been used for like one that had a longer canopy. I'm kind of curious if this tooling has been used by other manufacturers. Maybe if somebody knows, they can leave it down in the comments. The track's also curious as well, and when I first looked at this, I was honestly thinking it was a copy of Kato track, but actually looking at it here, I do have some, and you can see that the pieces are definitely smaller, and even the roadbed's different and what have you. And I will also bring in the curb track here just for a little comparison. Again, you can see they're not the same. But interestingly, this particular track has gold rail heads for some reason, and they attach underneath via those blocks that you saw earlier, which I'll go ahead and use those when I set this up. And lastly, there's these figures, which really don't look that great. And from my memory, the ones in my set went missing pretty early in its life. But I think with all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and start putting this set together. And I can feel another time lapse coming on. Well, here's the set fully assembled. And a few things I want to mention is that off camera, I did take time to clean the coupler on the locomotive. Also fixed the bent axle on the crane here. And you may have noticed that this car looks a little different now. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that the Bear Honey decals were actually under the Fastmate Delivery ones. With a little careful coaxing, I was able to pull the Fastmate ones off to reveal these ones again. And I did have to go back and clean a little sticker residue off afterwards, but these are pretty much unharmed from what I did. And I'm a little curious as to why these were covered up. There might have been some licensing or copyright issues, because I noticed this does have Walter Manufacturing Co. Limited on it. And if there's something that they had to go back and get rid of those, I don't know. Maybe if someone knows, they can leave it in the comments. Something else I want to mention in regards to setting up is that the track system in this set is really poor, because the pieces join together via these black connectors, which they engage into posts underneath the track from a friction fit. And it's not bad if you're trying to join a couple pieces of track together at first, because you can flip them over. But once you start trying to put more track together or complete the circuit, you're basically working blind because everything is underneath. And if you don't have those connectors joined up right, the track's going to be uneven. And I mean, I had a flat surface to work on here, but I'd say if you're working on carpet, it'd be even worse. And something else that I kind of wasn't surprised about is that one of those connectors was actually missing. So this section of track here I had to actually tape together. Granted, that's not the set's fault. That's just the fact that I got this second hand. But yeah, the track system probably could have been better than what it is. And I think with all that said, we can give this train a run. I just reach over here and hit the on switch. And it's off. I wouldn't say that it's a fast one, but the speed seems reasonable in my opinion. And seems to be handling the stock pretty well. Not noticing any issues with the track. Actually, no. Yeah, that front wheel's off there, so there it's back on. Yeah, bit of an issue with the track, like I was saying. If you don't have the pieces joined right, gonna have some problems. Like I mentioned earlier, this set does come with an on-off section of track. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it to the off position here. And we'll see if the train stops as it comes into the station. Bit of a sudden stop, but it has worked. So I'll just go ahead and set this to send the train on its way again. And there it goes. I think one advantage to this on-off section of track here is that instead of having to reach over and try to grab the locomotive to shut it off, you can simply flick this switch to the off position. And then once the locomotive crosses over this section of track, it'll stop, and then you can reach over and hit the off switch on that. So I think it's quite a great feature to have that option on this set. So I'll probably just let this run around for a bit and you all can enjoy watching it. And while you're doing that, I think I'll stand here and relive some childhood memories. I think what I'm going to do now is stop the train at the station here because I want to put some 00 scale stock on this set now and see how that'll perform. So I've taken the 3 wagons that came in this set off, and I've put 5 of these triang wagons behind this locomotive. Luckily one of them I modified as a converter wagon earlier on so I could get it to work with this particular coupler system. And these have quite a bit of drag just because of the axles they have, plus some of the chassis are made of die cast. So bit of a weighty train there, and we'll see how this locomotive performs with it. Go ahead and set it off here. And doesn't seem to be doing too bad, I don't think. I'm seeing a little bit of wheel slip, but seems to be handling that train pretty well. Doesn't appear to be running any slower than it did before. Kind of curious. I'm gonna maybe throw a couple more wagons on this and see if it handles those. So I've got a triang bogie bolster that I put on the back of this train, and I believe this is where the locomotive has reached its limit. I definitely don't think it could handle any more than this. You'll notice as it comes up the back of the circuit here, it really starts to struggle. You're seeing quite a bit of wheel slip, definitely showing some drag. I mean, right there, it just literally stopped. Give it a helping hand, and it seems to recover. But all things considered, the weight of that train and the drag it causes, that's probably not too bad for as light and cheap as this locomotive is. I'd say it's done pretty well. So as you just saw, HO or double O scale rolling stock will work on this set. However, obviously the locomotives won't because the track is plastic and is unpowered. But the good news is that this train here will actually run on your HO or double O scale layout, so long as the track isn't so fine that the flanges will cause potential derailment issues. Something that I wanted to mention is that I noticed within the half hour that I've been running this train, I've already had to replace the batteries 3 times. And what seems to be happening is once the batteries are drained just a little bit, the train will start slowing down and at times even be at a crawl, which I don't know if it's just the fact that these are no-name batteries and there's possibly batteries that are better suited for this train, or who knows, maybe it was just underpowered and there needed to be something more than a single AAA to run it. Another issue I'm going to bring up again is the poor track system, and I've noticed on numerous occasions where the train will come off like it has now, and it will re-rail itself on the straights. And again, it comes down to the poor joining of these tracks, which, I mean, I've had numerous problems with this area here where I don't have the joiner, but I don't know if it's solely just the track that's the issue. It might also be the fact that the locomotive has such a long wheelbase, or it could also be the fact that the locomotive is so light. But either way, it's definitely clear that the track system in this set is poor, and I'm in no way a fan of it. And as the train makes its way around the circuit, I guess I'll give my final thoughts on this set. And personally, I myself like it because it's nostalgia. I had one of these when I was younger. It's great to have another one now. But looking at it from an adult standpoint, I can say that this set clearly is not made to be taken too seriously. It's rather cheap. It's got quite a few issues. It's obviously made to a price. And from memory, the one I had when I was younger, I don't even think it lasted a year. It just fell apart so easily. And, you know, clearly this set was not made to last. As for price, I believe I paid about $17 for this on eBay, plus about another $12 shipping, so we'll just say $30 delivered to my door. And I noticed on the box it had a price tag of $14.99, which I believe was the original price. And I can't believe there's some people on eBay, they're literally charging over $200 for one of these sets when it's not worth it. And as to whether or not I'd recommend getting one of these, honestly, no. Unless you're someone like myself that maybe had one of these when you were younger and wants to relive some childhood memories, you know, I just wouldn't touch it. Again, it's not worth it. And I can definitely say that when I was younger, I went out and wasted my money on a lot of these cheap little sets when I could have just saved up and bought something a hell of a lot better. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for this review. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this set in the comments. And I'll try to be back here again sometime, possibly with something a little bit better. And as you can see, the train is off the tracks now.